back to another Rise of Kingdoms video. I am RoyalMixGaming, and in today's video, we're going to go over Honda Terakatsu. And as you were kind of seeing at the very beginning of this video, I was kind of showing you some open field fighting from a recent stream that I was doing a while back. And you can see all the skills firing off and things like that. So as you're firing off your active skills and getting, all the AoE and stuff like that, you want to have commanders in the open field that do a lot of AoE, because there's just so many people in the way. As you can see from the very beginning of this video, there's just a lot of people. All the AoE for 5 marches, it's going to hit a lot of different people. So that's why Honda Terakatsu, however you say it, comes into play. So we're going to kind of run over his skills, kind of talk about who can use him as a good commander, and kind of like what his skill order should be if you're wanting to invest into him, if you're not really wanting to max him, some things like that. So his primary skill is direct damage factor up to 5 targets, 2500 damage factor. Actually, it's up to 3 targets in a 4 fan-shaped area, but it's an Ethelflaed AoE, so you're hitting 3 targets in a big fan-shaped area, so you're always going to hit somebody with this 2500 damage factor, or if he's secondary, which I would recommend, of a 1250, which if you think about it, Nebu does I think it's like a 1500, something like that, to 5 targets, which is obviously better, but he can go with a lot of different commanders, which helps out a lot. So the primary skill is pretty good because it's going to have a huge AoE, which is like Ethelflaed's, which is really, really nice. Second skill, troops led by his commander gain 10% increased march speed, 20% increased march speed, an extra 10% increased attack, plus another 30% extra attack when attacking troops. So you're going to have a lot of attack and damage on this commander as you're going through. So the second skill is really, really good for open field and in general because it's just extra damage and attack. Third skill, troops led by his commander take up to 5% reduced damage. An active skill cast will cause the target to suffer damage over time, damage factor up to 200, and reduce march speed up to 50% for 2 seconds. This effect can trigger at most once every 5 seconds. So this is also pretty good when you're trying to swarm down a target. You're going to slow them down, you're going to cause them to take more damage, and also you're going to take less damage from those targets and from all sources. Then his fourth skill, troops led by his commander gain up to a 10% increased troop capacity and deal up to 5% extra increased skill damage per 8% or 5%, depending on how many troops you lose. So basically, depending on how many troops you go under, the more skill damage you're going to do. It kind of stacks up and keeps going up until you get up to a maximum of 60% skill damage. But I think once you get that low on troops, you're really not doing that much. So the 60% skill damage, you're probably only going to have about half that when you're usually kind of like on average kind of thing, because you're going to lose half your troops, and kind of things like that. So that's kind of a not so nice skill, but it's nice that you're at least going out with a bang kind of thing. His expertise is whenever receiving a normal attack on the map, troops led by his commander take 30% less damage from this attack. And it happens up to 57 times per hour after leaving your city. So for 57 turns, once you leave your city, you can take up to 30% less normal attack damage from every attack that's from targets hitting you. And that's nice to have, but not necessary for this commander. So in general, I think that AoE is king in open field brawls, like I was showing at the beginning of this video. So I would recommend, if you're going to be doing Honda, if you don't plan to expertise him and you don't have tons and tons of sculptures, is to do him 5-5-5-1, because the last skill is just extra troops and it's just extra skill damage when you get low. It's nice, but not necessary. The attack, all this damage and march speed is very necessary. The damage taken reduction, the additional damage factor, and slowing your target down so you can keep hitting them is very, very good. And obviously the primary skill is really, really good since you're hitting up to 3 targets in an Ethelflaed 180-degree fan-shaped area. So who should be doing Honda? I would say the majority of people should not do Honda in general, but if you're getting up to 6 marches or things like that, or you have commanders that do a lot of skill damage like Nevsky, XY, Nebuchadnezzar, Boudica, Scipio, things like that, if you don't have an extra pair for them and you want to have more AoE, Honda's a really good pair because he does a lot of skill damage to a lot of targets. You'll see in like 1960, 60 GT, those kinds of kingdoms, imperiums use Honda because he does so much skill damage to multiple targets. And it's not necessarily the target that's hitting you that's going to smash your march. It's going to be all the AoE from all the marches like Honda that have huge AoEs that hit multiple people all at the same time, they don't have to worry about hitting that target. The AoE is such a large area, it's going to do the work for them. So that's why I think the majority of people probably shouldn't do him, because most of the time you should be focusing on Scipio, Boudica, Nevsky, commanders that do a lot of skill damage and are even better commanders, but they have no AoE, some of them don't. So this commander would go well with them, so that you can do AoE as a secondary commander if you don't have other pairs. There are also multiple other pairs you can do him with that are really, really good. I would say some of the top picks for me would be like Nebuchadnezzar, Honda secondary, XY, Honda secondary, Scipio, and Honda secondary are probably my top 3 picks for Honda. You can also mix and match and put him primary. I think putting him primary is kind of a waste, simply because basically putting him primary is putting a target on him. You are going to get more damage and things like that, but you're not really going to get all the benefits, in my opinion, because he's going to be a target. So putting him secondary to XY is probably my top pick, and then Scipio, and then Nebuchadnezzar. So in this video, I just kind of want to talk about him because it's a commander I'm considering to do eventually, maybe not on my main account, but possibly on my second account. So I just wanted to kind of talk about it and kind of tell you guys, do I think he's good? Yes, but I don't think you have to expertise him. So 5/5, 5/1, and you've got all the damage and everything that you really, really need. Everything else is just bonus that really isn't that going to help you in the open field, in my opinion. The expertise is obviously nice. You're going to take less normal attacks if somebody's hitting you, but you don't really want to get hit, so you don't really need it necessarily. So you can always retreat, and you don't have to worry about it. So I hope you guys learned a little bit more about Honda in this video, whether or not you should invest in him, because I've had people ask me and I've kind of just not worried about it because I'm not sure about him, but I've been using him lately on my second account. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, learned some more about him, and I'll see you on Wednesday for the stream, most likely, as long as everything works out. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.